Hello everyone, my name is Carlos and this post is about the three major takeaways that I learned about ethical principles as it applies to real life. But first I want to focus on three excerpts from the readings of Module 4. First, Aristotle's notion of justice being complex and the two interrelated principles of equality and equity it involves. Justice consists of treating equals equally and unequals unequally, precisely to be fair. The principle of equality focuses squarely on the needs of society's most marginalized, oppressed, disadvantaged, and mistreated individuals. And this has to do with moral judgments dilemmas that, as LEAs or principals representing the district, have to face. Do they treat every student the same, or do they allocate resources accordingly to the necessities of each individual student, whereas certain students might need more resources than others? Principals are facing the tough decision as far as budgetizing for the needs of students. Do they focus on the needs of the individual student that needs augmented alternative communication systems, such as assistive technology, to meet that student's specific needs, or do they invest on hiring new personnel and in reading systems to meet the standards or the third grade commitment? Again, that's like moral judgment dilemma, the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. How does this relate to real life scenarios? This topic actually was a subject brought up at an IEP meeting at a local elementary school where the second grade student utilized assistive technology here at the University of Memphis, which is considered third party because the local school district didn't utilize this Proloquo um, augmented alternative communications system, which is very much like an iPad or software, specialized software that helps or aids students in their communications through a series of speech therapy sessions. So the parent brought this as a concern in an IP meeting that she wanted the school to implement this technology in their sessions that the child usually use, where they use analog version of the assistive technology, but things the sessions gave such well results that parent wanted to for the school to implement this during her speech sessions, and they started with an addendum to the IEP. They proposed it as part of the prior reading notice so it could get approved by the district, and the school asked for an assessment period to try different technologies before they adopt the permanently a specific one. They wanted to show results before investing in the assistive technology. The topic is a segue to the next area that I wanted to focus in our readings for the fourth module. As it regards to principals serving as LEAs and IEPs, they represent the school district and they must base their decision making in a fair and equitable manner and examine the individual needs of the particular student and focus on the best interest of the student. And as principals, they also have must weigh whether to serve the best interest of the student or focus on the practices that promotes the success of all students and seek the benefit of all children. For instance, should principals focus on meeting the needs of individual students with IEPs that are in an inclusive setting, or invest on reading programs that promotes reading fluency by the third grade to meet with state standards to avoid retaining students for that are to be promoted to the fourth grade. So principals could invest in reading programs and hiring new staff that focus on early childhood literacy programs, or use the money in their budget to invest on to meeting specific students' needs that are required by, let's say, the IEP. In my post, I focused my ethical takeaways specifically on the modules for reading because it gave me a different perspective, the perspective of a principal. Um, and I like the study. I like that they interviewed the principals. They were like informal, personal questions as part of the interview, and it just gives you a perspective of what administrators are faced with, the hard decisions they have to make, and just I want to focus on one principal's response. And I know it's a little out there, but it's just the different perspectives that the range of perspectives that they focus on these studies. So the principal said you can't let one child ruin the education process for the others. One problem child can disrupt the learning process of everyone else. Sometimes there's not a whole lot you could do about it. In this situation, referring to the Binet, there are alternatives, and you got to go look at your alternatives in situations like this. I'm just mentioning this not because of that I agree with it. I'm just mentioning this because they are different perspective, and there are different actions that are being taken out there, like that are affecting real people. And it could be a decision made on budget or on a moral, ethical judgment. But I've seen scenarios where like an IEP meeting, the basis of it is to cut services, no matter the cost, or some of them that are really looking into the needs of the specific child being serviced by the individualized educational plan, and real decisions that could affect the life of individuals. Like one of the other principals said that they were um, arming the students with skills to be productive in the real world, right? And a decision like having a one-on-one paraprofessional uh, in an inclusive setting could make the world of difference for certain students. And it's just different ways to solve the problems that are like everyday problems that the principals are faced with. And I think this study was very thorough, and I got a lot from it.